Thomas and friends, making tracks to great destinations. The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea. It has fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine, and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas! Hello, Thomas! Hello, everybody! Welcome to the island of Sodor. Duncan and the Old Mine. It was summer on the island of Sodor. Duncan loved this time of year. Today he was especially excited. He was going to take a party of vacationers to see Skarloley Caves. But Mr. Percival, the narrow-gauge controller, had some bad news. The machines at the main coaling plant have broken down. Sir Topham Hatt needs coal until they are mended. Mr. Percival told Duncan and Rusty to bring coal down from the mine in the hills. Then Thomas will take it to the coaling plant, he said. And, Mr. Percival added, Bertie the bus will take the vacationers to Skarloley Caves. Duncan was very disappointed. He wanted to go to the caves. Pulling coal cars wasn't an exciting job at all. As Duncan was puffing slowly to the mine, he noticed an old line branching off into the trees and bushes. That looks like a good place for an adventure, said Duncan excitedly. I wonder what's down there. Duncan pushed his way through the barrier. Rusty was coming down the hill with freight cars full of coal. He stopped when he saw Duncan. Look what you've done, Duncan, he hooted. Why did you break through the barrier? I wanted an adventure, Duncan wished quietly. This isn't the time for an adventure, tooted Rusty. We've got work to do. But Duncan didn't want to pull coal cars anymore. All he could think about was having an adventure. So he puffed further down the line. Duncan clattered along the old line. Finally, the line disappeared into the side of the mountain. It looked like the entrance to an old mine. This is better than caves any day, he told himself excitedly. And he puffed inside. Duncan was too excited to think clearly. He puffed straight into a roof support. And suddenly the roof collapsed behind him. Duncan was trapped. Oh no, Duncan wished. How am I going to get out? Back at the transfer yards, Thomas was waiting. Where's Duncan? Thomas asked. I don't know, said Rusty. I'd better go and look for him. It was dark and lonely in the old mine. Duncan didn't like it at all. He looked up at the shafts of light. Maybe if I whistle, someone will hear me. Duncan whistled as loudly as he could, but there was no reply. He tried again, even louder. But Rusty didn't hear Duncan's whistle. He was too far away. No one knows where I am, wished Duncan miserably. I'll have to find my own way out. Duncan puffed slowly forward. Inch by inch, Duncan crept further into the mine. It was dark in the tunnel, and getting darker. Then suddenly he bumped into a set of buffers. Duncan could go no further. Now he was scared. "I'm going to be stuck here forever," he whistled sadly. Rusty arrived at the broken barrier. Perhaps Duncan went looking for an adventure after all, he thought. Soon, Rusty came to the collapsed entrance. "Duncan must be inside," he cried. Rusty was very worried. Duncan was still trapped. He puffed nervously backwards and forwards. He biffed into the buffers again. This time, he heard a squeaking noise. "I know what that is," he thought. "It's the sound of wheels going round." Duncan edged forward very slowly. He hit the buffers again and pushed them carefully. They moved, and as they moved, the wheels squeaked. Duncan hadn't hit buffers after all. He had run into some freight cars. If there are some freight cars on this track, he thought, maybe it leads somewhere. He pushed the cars slowly forward along the track. Soon he saw a light at the end of the tunnel. But the way out was boarded up. Must think clearly, he huffed to himself. Then he had an idea. With all his puff, Duncan bashed the freight cars. And they crashed and smashed through the boards. Duncan was free. "I did it!" he hooted happily. Rusty heard the crashing sound. He hurried on to see what it was. Soon he found Duncan. "Where have you been?" he cried. "I had an adventure," puffed Duncan happily. "And look what I found!" Rusty could hardly believe it. Duncan was pushing cars full of coal. Duncan and Rusty raced the freight cars down the mountain to Thomas. Duncan and Rusty pulled into the transfer yards. Thomas was very happy to see them, and so was Mr. Percival. Duncan told Mr. Percival all about his adventure. Mr. Percival told Duncan he was very lucky. Duncan should not have broken through the barrier. "Adventure can be full of surprises, Duncan," Mr. Percival told him. "Some good and some not so good." Rusty and Thomas agreed. And next time I have an adventure," whistled Duncan, "I will know to think clearly all the time." Saved you. Thomas is a really useful tank engine. Whenever anyone is in trouble, Thomas is always there to help. And because Thomas helps, deliveries are made on time, without confusion and delay. One day, Thomas was at Maithwaite Station. Sir Topham Hatt arrived on board Percy. "Thomas, I need you to collect a very important passenger. He's a firefighter and a hero. He rescued Lady Hatt's cat from a tree." "A hero?" "Now we're going to give him a medal." Thomas puffed away to collect the firefighter. He was very excited. He was going to meet a real hero. On the way, Thomas saw lots of children at the bus stop. They were excited too. "We're going to see the firefighter. Bertie, the bus is taking us to the medal ceremony." Then, up ahead, Thomas saw a water tower through the trees. The water tower was starting to wobble. Thomas saw Duck was right next to it. Oh no! The water tower is going to fall on Duck. I must rescue him. Thomas blew his whistle loudly. Quick, Duck! Move! Now! Duck puffed quickly forward. The water tower crashed to the ground. I rescued you. No, you didn't. Rocky was putting the water tower on my flatbed, and now it's smashed. Thomas hadn't seen Rocky. Rocky had been hidden behind the trees. I'm sorry, but I don't have time to help you. I have to collect the firefighter. He's a hero. Later, Thomas saw a tree that had fallen onto the tracks. That looks dangerous, thought Thomas. I must go and tell the signalman. Thomas backed up to a signal box. There's a tree on the line. The engines must take another track. The signalman changed the points. Just then, Harvey raced towards the junction. He changed tracks and puffed down the other line. Harvey was surprised. Thomas was very pleased with himself. I rescued Harvey, Thomas thought proudly. Now I'm a hero. Thomas chuffed on to collect the firefighter. He saw Donald and Douglas stuck behind the fallen tree. I hope Harvey gets here soon. Aye, we can't go anywhere until he moves this tree. Thomas knew he'd made a mistake. Oh no, I made Harvey take the other track. I'm not a hero at all. We need Harvey. I'm sorry, but I don't have time to find Harvey. I have to collect the firefighter. He's a hero. Then Thomas saw Toby. Smoke and steam billowed from Toby's axles. Toby's broken down on Gordon's express line. Oh no! Here comes Gordon. I have to rescue Toby. So Thomas puffed quickly back to the points. He changed over onto the express line. Thomas buffered up behind Toby and shunted him as fast as he could. Help! 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 Don't worry, Toby, said Thomas, and he shunted Toby off the express line and into a siding. Gordon chuffed past. He didn't see Toby. I rescued you. No, you didn't. Gordon was bringing a mechanic to fix me. Thomas knew he'd made another mistake. I haven't rescued anyone. I'm not a hero. And now the firefighter won't get to the medal ceremony on time. Thomas felt terrible. Just then, Percy puffed up. Percy, will you go and pick up the firefighter for me? Percy was very pleased. You'll have to hurry. The medal ceremony starts soon. So Percy raced away. Thomas knew what he had to do now. Thomas collected the mechanic from Gordon and took him to fix Toby. Then Thomas found Harvey. He took Harvey to move the fallen tree. Harvey soon cleared the track. Thomas puffed sadly back to Tidmouth. He saw Bertie the bus. The children were standing around him. What's the matter? I'm stuck in the mud. Now I can't take the children to the medal ceremony. Shall I take the children for you? Yes, please. So all the children climbed on board Annie and Clarabelle. And Thomas puffed away. Thomas arrived at the medal ceremony just in time. Sir Topham Hatt and Lady Hat gave the firefighter his medal. The children were very happy. You're a hero.
And you're our hero, Thomas.
Thomas, the hero, beamed from buffer to buffer. Thomas and the Runaway Car. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. Thomas was feeling especially happy. He was on his way to Brendam Docks to collect a special. It was the day of the Sodor show. Sir Topham Hatt's brand new car was being unloaded. It was in Lady Hat's favorite color, hat blue. Sir Topham Hatt had chosen Thomas to take the car from the docks to the Sodor show. Thomas was so proud, he thought his boiler would burst. Rocky was slowly lowering the car onto a flatbed. All the engines wanted this job, Thomas puffed proudly.
Sir Topham Hatt chose me to take the brand new bandstand, huffed Gordon, and I'm ready to go. I'll be first at the Sodor show.
This made Thomas cross. I'll deliver Sir Topham Hatt's brand new car to the Sodor show before you, Thomas whistled.
Pah!
Snorted Gordon, and he chuffed off grandly. Hurry up, Rocky, puffed Thomas.
I must be careful, and you must wait, said Rocky.
But Thomas didn't want to wait. At last, the car was on the flatbed. Hooray! Tooted Thomas. Thomas pumped his pistons, ready to race. He didn't wait for the dockmen to connect the couplings. He steamed off, pushing Sir Topham Hatt's brand new hat blue car.
Wait, Thomas!
Called Rocky. Wait! Called the dockmen. But Thomas had a race to win, and no time to lose. I'll show Gordon who's the fastest, tooted Thomas. The children cheered as he puffed past. I'm on my way to the Sodor show, he chuffed cheerfully. The fastest way to the Sodor show was to puff over Gordon's hill. Thomas's axles tingled and his wheels trembled. Whee! He gasped. And then... Whoa! Sir Topham Hatt's brand new hat blue car slid away from Thomas and down the other side of the hill. Oh no! Cried Thomas. And he raced after the runaway car. Percy was waiting at a signal. Arthur puffed slowly into a siding. He had heavy wagons of fish. Look out, Arthur! Arthur's wheels spun as he raced straight into the buffers. The fish shot into the air. Oh no! Cried Arthur. Just then, Thomas chased through the junction. Sorry, Arthur, he gasped. I have to keep up with the runaway car. The runaway brand new hat blue car raced on. Thomas puffed harder and harder. Ahead, there were works on the track. Thick mud was everywhere. Rosie had just left the washdown. Suddenly, she saw the runaway car racing towards her. Oh no! Cried Rosie. Rosie was covered in mud. Sorry, Rosie, can't stop, tooted Thomas, and he raced off. The brand new hat blue car sped towards a junction. Gordon was waiting with the bandstand. Then there was trouble. Oh no, cried Thomas. Gordon was surprised.
I told you I'd get to the Sodor show first. And he puffed proudly away. Thomas puffed up to the haystack.
Cinders and ashes, he cried. I've lost the race, and now Sir Topham Hatt's brand new car won't be at the Sodor show on time. Thomas felt terrible. I must go back to the docks for Rocky, he puffed. Thomas pumped his pistons. Then he stopped. But I'm not strong enough to pull Rocky on my own, he wished. Gordon puffed proudly back down the line. He had won the race and delivered the bandstand. Gordon, whistled Thomas, I need your help. Gordon could see that Thomas was very upset. Please, Gordon, would you go and collect Rocky? It needs a strong engine like you. Gordon liked everyone to know he was strong. He also liked to help his friend Thomas. So Gordon raced to the docks. Gordon collected Rocky and steamed back as fast as he could. Thomas was very happy to see Gordon chuff up with Rocky. This time, Thomas waited patiently as Rocky lifted Sir Topham Hatt's car out of the haystack. Thomas wanted to thank his friend Gordon. Gordon, he tooted, would you like to deliver the car? Gordon knew that delivering the brand new hat blue car was the most important job on the island. Thank you, Thomas, he smiled to his friend. This time there was no race. The two friends arrived together at the Sodor show. Sir Topham and Lady Hat were very pleased to see their brand new hat blue car. Everyone clapped and cheered, and Thomas cheered loudest of all.
Mainline engines always boast how big they are, superior by far. But little engines toil away from dawn to dusk, without a fuss or care. Just because we're small doesn't mean we don't stand tall, and we pull our weight like all the others do. You'll be surprised, in spite of our size, just what little engines can do. Little engines
Thomas and Skarloley's big day out. It was a beautiful, bright summer on the island of Sodor. Thomas the tank engine was taking passengers to the seaside. In the summer holidays, Thomas went there nearly every day. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to see Thomas. "I have an important special for you," he said. "I need you to take some steel pipes to the wharf." Thomas was delighted. There were lots of sights to see on the way to the wharf. First, Thomas passed the Scottish castle. Next, he went through Shen Valley. And finally, he looked at the wonderful view from the top of Gordon's Hill. But when Thomas arrived at the wharf, he saw Skarloley. Skarloley looked very sad. He had broken down. "There's no one to take me to the repairer's yard," Skarloley chuffed. "Maybe I can take you," puffed Thomas. "Please, sir," Thomas asked the narrow gauge controller, "can I take Skarloley to the repairers?" "Skarloley is very heavy," said the narrow gauge controller. "I'm sure I can pull him," puffed Thomas. "And I finished all my other jobs." "Very well," said the narrow gauge controller, "but you must go straight there." "Yes, sir," whistled Thomas. "The coupling on that flatbed is old, so take care," he added. So Skarloley was loaded onto the flatbed. Skarloley was sad. "I don't like going to the repairers," he puffed. Thomas wanted to cheer Skarloley up. "I'll show you some wonderful new sights. Sights you never see in the mountains," chuffed Thomas cheerfully. "This will be your big day out." And Thomas puffed away, pulling his friend carefully behind him. So, Thomas didn't take Skarloley straight to the repairers. He puffed through the farms and forests until they arrived at the Scottish castle. "There," puffed Thomas proudly. "Isn't it wonderful?" "It's very nice," chuffed Skarloley. "But we have a castle in the mountains." "Then I'll show you Shen Valley," puffed Thomas. Thomas and Skarloley puffed through the flowery fields and the green meadows of Shen Valley. "There," whistled Thomas grandly. "It's very nice," chuffed Skarloley. "But we have green valleys in the mountains." Thomas felt sad. He wanted Skarloley to have a big day out. He had to find something Skarloley had never seen before. "I know," puffed Thomas. "I'll show you the view from the top of Gordon's Hill." So Thomas huffed and puffed up Gordon's Hill. Skarloley was very heavy. The old flatbed coupling creaked and groaned. But still Thomas huffed and chuffed as hard as he could. Then there was trouble. Just as he got to the top of the hill, the coupling came loose and Skarloley rolled backwards. "Help!" cried Skarloley, but it was too late. Skarloley's flatbed biffed into the sidings and came off the track. Oh!
Oh no, moaned Thomas. The narrow gauge controller told me to go straight to the repairer's yard, but I wanted to give you a big day out. Now look what's happened. Thomas was very unhappy. So Thomas's driver coupled him up again to the flatbed. Thomas pulled Skarloley and the flatbed carefully back onto the tracks, and they set off for the repairer's yard. Thomas didn't try to show Skarloley any more sights. He puffed as fast as he could to do his job. The fastest way to the repairer's yard was the track by the seaside. Thomas had to stop at a signal. Skarloley looked out at the sea and the sand. There were sandcastles, donkey rides, and children eating ice cream. It looked marvelous.
It's wonderful, gasped Skarloley. I've never seen anything like that before.
Skarloley was so excited it made his axles tingle. Thomas was surprised and delighted. I see the beach almost every day, he tooted happily. Thomas took Skarloley to the repairers. I'll wait and take you back, tooted Thomas.
Thank you,
wheezed Skarloley. When he was repaired, Thomas took Skarloley to look at the beach once again.
This is the best big day out ever,
puffed Skarloley. Thomas was delighted.
Gordon is big and blue, and the fastest engine on all of Sodor. He loves pulling the express. Gordon thinks it makes him the most important engine on the island. One day, Gordon was pulling the express out of Brendam docks, but Diesel was on the same line. "Out of my way," sniffed Gordon. "Express train coming through." Diesel had to back off. This made him cross. "You steamies are old and clapped out," he sneered. "When Sir Topham Hatt realizes this, you'll all be scrapped." "Scrapped?" scoffed Gordon. "Pah! I'm as fast as I ever was." And he chuffed proudly out of the docks. Gordon was speeding through the beautiful countryside. He was having a wonderful day. But then he heard a horrible squeaking noise. Gordon was upset. Squeaking could only mean one thing. Something was wrong. What if Diesel's right, he thought. What if Sir Topham Hatt scraps me? Gordon squeaked sadly up the hill. The hill was steep, and Gordon had to slow down. The slower he went, the quieter the squeak became. Gordon was delighted. "Aha," he said. "If I go slowly, no one will hear me squeak." And he chuffed slowly back to Tidmouth Sheds. That evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to see Gordon. "Tomorrow is a very special day," he said. "I am taking some village children on a boat trip. You, Gordon, are to take us to Brendam docks. The boat leaves at 9 o'clock, so you must not be late." The next morning, Gordon waited for everyone to go. Then he puffed slowly away so no one would hear his squeak. Once out of the sheds, he started to pick up speed. His pistons pumped and his wheels spun, and he began to squeak again. "Oh my," said Gordon. Then he heard something even worse. It was a rattle. "Oh dear," he cried. "Diesel was right. I'm falling apart. What will Sir Topham Hatt say?" So Gordon slowed down. Gordon crawled slowly into the station to collect the children. Gordon's boiler sank. If he went slowly, the children would miss their boat trip. But if he went quickly, Sir Topham Hatt would hear his squeak and his rattle. He'd know Gordon was wearing out and send him to the scrapyard. With the children safely on board, Gordon pulled slowly out of the station. Gordon chuffed slowly through the countryside. He thought things were going well. But Sir Topham Hatt was very cross. He spoke sternly to Gordon. "Why are you fooling around, Gordon?" he boomed. "You must go quickly, or the children will miss the boat, and that will never do." "Yes, sir," said Gordon sadly. "Remember," added Sir Topham Hatt, "you are the fastest engine on the island." This made Gordon feel proud. "This might be my last trip," he said, "but I'll get the children to their boat on time." His wheels turned faster. His pistons pumped harder. "Must be on time," he puffed. Soon, he began to squeak, and rattle too. And then he heard another noise. A knocking noise. But Gordon didn't care. If this was his last trip, he was going to go as fast as he possibly could. Gordon squeaked and rattled and knocked all the way to Brendam Docks. Salty and Henry were surprised. They had never heard an engine make such awful noises. "Sounds like another steamy ready for the scrapyard," sneered Diesel. But Gordon didn't care about Diesel. He had made good time, and the children would catch their boat. "I made it!" he cried proudly. "Thank you, Gordon!" shouted the children happily. "I knew you could do it," said Sir Topham Hatt. "But why haven't you been to the repair yard?" "The repair yard?" gasped Gordon. "You have been making lots of noises," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You need to have your engine looked at." "So you're not going to scrap me?" asked Gordon. "Scrap Gordon," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "The fastest engine on Sodor? Who would pull the express?" Gordon beamed with pride. Gordon spent the next day having his pistons polished, his axles greased, and his wheels well oiled. At last, he didn't make any more funny noises. Gordon was as good as new, and he felt even better. It was cold and snowy on the island of Sodor, but everyone was jolly. The winter holidays were coming. Thomas loved this time of year. The station masters decorated the stations, and children were making snowmen. But there was one thing Thomas didn't like about winter. There was always lots and lots of snow. It piled up very quickly and blocked the tracks. So Thomas worked hard all day keeping the lines open. Thanks to Thomas, everything ran on time. All the engines were very pleased. They wanted to thank Thomas for all his hard work. When all the tracks were clear, Thomas was looking forward to seeing his friends. He had missed them. As he puffed towards the station, he saw Harold the helicopter talking to Toby. They were planning a thank you surprise for Thomas.
Hello!
He chuffed. "Remember, Toby," said Harold, "don't tell Thomas about the surprise." Then Harold buzzed away, and Toby puffed back to his yard. Thomas felt left out. He liked surprises. That afternoon, Thomas was puffing along the main line. He saw Percy waiting in the station. Percy's trucks were loaded with brightly colored boxes. "Are they part of the surprise?" Thomas asked. Percy was bursting to tell his friend about it, but he raced away so that he wouldn't spoil the surprise. Thomas was cross. Later, Thomas had to stop at a signal. As he waited, Emily arrived. Thomas noticed something strange on Emily's freight car. It was long and pointy, but it was covered up.
Is that part of the surprise?
He asked. "That," said Emily, "is for me to know and you to find out." And she puffed away.
Bother, wheezed Thomas. "If they won't tell me," Thomas huffed, "I'll find out myself."
Thomas secretly followed Emily. He puffed as quietly as he could. And he didn't follow too closely. Suddenly, Emily turned down one of the branch lines. Thomas raced after her, but just as he got to the branch line, the signalman changed the points. Thomas had to go straight ahead.
"Cinders and ashes," cried Thomas. "How will I ever find out what the surprise is?"
That evening, the engines were very excited. They were all talking about Thomas's surprise.
"I can't wait," chuffed Edward. "He'll love it," puffed Percy.
But then, Thomas arrived. "Shh," said James.
"Don't tell Thomas,"
said Henry. Thomas felt more left out than ever. It wasn't fair. Everyone knew what the surprise was except Thomas.
"Huh? If they won't tell me, I don't want to know,"
he huffed. Thomas steamed crossly away. He puffed as far as he could. At last, it was time to show Thomas the surprise. But no one knew where Thomas had gone.
"Please find him, Harold," Edward puffed.
"I'll do my best," said Harold, and he took to the air. Thomas was parked in a siding. He was cold and sad. Why was he the only one not to know what the surprise was? If only they would tell him. Then Thomas heard a noise. It was coming from the sky. It was Harold the helicopter.
"There you are, old chap,"
he called.
"It's time for you to collect the children and to see the surprise."
"The children?" puffed Thomas.
"Yes," said Harold. "It's a special thank you for keeping the lines clear of snow."
Thomas was delighted. Finally, he was going to find out what the surprise was. "So I wasn't being left out," cried Thomas.
"Of course not," said Harold. "The children are waiting for you at Wellsworth Station."
Thomas loved pulling carriages full of children, so he raced away.
Soon he arrived at Wellsworth Station. Thomas collected the children. He puffed through the snowy countryside. The children were very excited. They all wanted to know what the surprise was. Thomas turned down the branch line. Soon they arrived at a country village, and there was Thomas's surprise. A huge Christmas tree was standing in the village square. Its lights shone and its baubles twinkled. And at the bottom of the tree were lots of presents. There was even some tinsel for Thomas. "It's the best surprise I ever had," Thomas puffed happily.
He's the cheeky